Hey everyone, it's Sharon. This month I am going to be talking about trauma related behaviors. So today we're going to talk about food issues. We're going to talk about executive functioning problems. We're going to talk about sexualized behaviors and substance abuse. So that's this month of October. So let's start with food issues. So many of our kids come with us with different food issues. And so I want to kind of just discuss them and talk about why that is. So let me share my screen. I'm going to remove that. All right. So, food issues. Some of the types of food issues I'm talking about are things like overeating or being too or eating too quickly, hoarding food, being picky or not eating at all, no table manners, eating skills, might be sensitive, overly sensitive to things like texture, heat, spice, might have mouth or teeth pain, and then poor muscles that inhibit swallowing. And why are there these issues with food, especially things like being picky, hoarding food? Those are a lot to do with our survival instincts and also can be self soothing. We all know that we use food sometimes to self soothe, but there are some issues of like that hoarding or not only eating certain things that go further than what we would usually do. Organic issues like sensitivity, mouth or teeth pain, poor muscles, all of that you need to see a doctor. That is a developmental issue that happened because of whatever the neglect. Maybe they were born addicted to drugs or alcohol, anything that would have caused some type of organic problem. The sensitivity could be because of poor hygiene. Sensitivity and mouth pain could have been because of poor teeth hygiene. So we hold a lot of germs in our mouth, and so that can really get really bad if we don't get that taken care of. But let's talk specifically about the overeating, the hoarding, and being picky, because those are a little harder to understand. And like I said, usually it's because of survival instinct or self soothing that they didn't have enough food, so they want to have all the food that they can. The pickiness might come from the fact that certain foods brought them comfort or it reminds them of something, so they want to have that certain food over and over again. All right, let's talk about this. So, how do you heal this relationship with food? And that really is what it is. It's healing our relationship. This goes for anybody. My husband and I did Noom a few years ago and really started learning about how our relationship with food causes us to do things like eat the wrong foods, overeat the wrong foods, all of those things. So they are something that needs to be healed. First of all, try not to dwell on these food anxiety issues. In other words, don't bring it up all the time. That just increases their anxiety. So if they're already nervous at mealtime or about food, and we start talking about it a lot and a lot and a lot, it's going to make them more nervous. So things you can do to sort of prevent some of that hoarding might be offering regular meals. Maybe they didn't have consistent meals, and so they didn't ever know when the next food was coming, and so they would hoard in order to be able to have some food there just in case. Um, so having consistent meals and snack time. Don't focus on the weight part. Even if they are over or underweight, we get worried. Biologically, we know that's not okay, but especially if they're really in the midst of some food anxiety, that's not the part to focus on. Focus on helping them learn how their body tells them when they're hungry or full. So providing realistic portion sizes. Again, we're Americans. We overdo everything. That's another thing my husband and I learned on Noom is we really cut down our portion sizes by a lot. So see how much they eat on their plate and then fill their plate exactly to that amount, um, so that it's realistic. It makes sense. If they want like seconds or something, maybe provide only the veggie as a second. So make less of, like we would make less of mashed potatoes, because if we had leftover mashed potatoes sitting, we would probably want to eat them. So you make exactly the amount that you want them to eat, or for your family to eat, and then go a little overboard on the vegetables, and that would be what they can have second. If the hoarding persists, maybe let them carry a small snack in their backpack. Now, they might not ever eat that snack, so you might want to change it out every so often, but it might just make them feel better going to school to have something in their backpack, just knowing that it's there. Um, it may be they need their own shelf or their own like box, either in the pantry or in the fridge, that just has their snacks. And it's very clear to everybody in the family that nobody touches those snacks in that box other than the person whose name is on there. And you can make one for everybody so that they don't stand out. We all have our own little box with our snacks. And that might help them just kind of feel like they have a space. I would discourage letting them keep a box of food in their room. There's just a lot of health issues. Things get lost. It encourages bugs, all of that. So I would really emphasize the fact that food is eaten where it's public. So, and if you want to only eat in your kitchen or your dining room, that's one way to do it. You can only eat in these rooms, so the snack box has to stay in those rooms. They may try and sneak food into their room, so you'll need to be on top of that. But just then consistently remind them, hey, I found this snack in your room. Let's go put it in your box in the kitchen so we know where it is and it doesn't get lost. Things like that. Turn it around, make it positive. Don't berate them. Just point out, and then redirect them to a place that makes more sense. All right, picky eaters. Like I said, there's a lot of reasons why somebody could be picky. It could be a texture issue. It could be they only ate certain foods. It could be that they weren't exposed to a lot of foods. I remember growing up, we always ate vegetables. Like that just was the way we grew up. And it never occurred to me that other people didn't. And then my dad was in the army, so we moved a lot. And in one of our moves, we were in a neighborhood with some other military kids, and these boys kept going on and on about the fact that we would eat green foods. And my sister and I are like, just didn't get what they were talking about. Well, for them, green foods were gross, and they didn't understand how could we would eat green foods. We hosted foreign exchange students, so we had a student who came over who would not eat anything green. When by the time she left us, she was ordering broccoli out at restaurants. So it's a lot of time it's just exposure. So when you do it, um, expose them slowly. So make one meal for all, and this goes for all your kids. I know it's really tempting not to have that battle, but it's also very tiring if you're making a different food for every person in your house. So save your mental health, make one meal for all, and maybe you only introduce one new item for a while. So chicken nuggets, macaroni and cheese, and a little bit of broccoli. And don't make them eat it all, but have them try it. Then you start adding in two new things and things like that. So you start slowly exposing them to foods they may not have. Again, remember, if children have come out of poverty, they don't have access to fresh vegetables and fruits. If you ever drive through a poorer neighborhood, they won't have grocery stores. They get their foods from like the dollar store. They get their foods from the I mean, not the grocery store. They'll get their foods from the gas station. Drive through a poorer neighborhood and you will see they don't have access to the same types of foods we do. And so they just have never tried these things. So make one meal, introduce things slowly. Don't ever use the phrase clean your plate. This is actually, again, we learned this from New. This is an American fallacy. We went through the Great Depression, food waste, all of that. So we went through this period where we had to clean our plates. And it encourages overeating. And it also teaches our body not to identify when we're full. because instead we only identify being full when we see our plate is empty. And that's a huge problem. So don't ever do that. It also encourages anxiety over food. So we're not talking about cleaning our plate. Really focus on trying new foods. So when they take a bite, celebrate. If they don't like it, they don't like it, but have them try everything. And then, like I said, just slowly introduce new foods, have take a bite, find what they like, and then let them help you plan, shop, and create a meal based on the things that they like. Maybe once a week, it's their choice day. And that helps also let them understand that you understand. So you're building that relationship with them that I know we're pushing you to do some new things, but hey, we can always go back to your favorite. I mean, let's be honest. If I'm having a bad day, what do I want? I want spaghetti. That's my comfort food. We all do it. So let's let our kids know that we understand and that they can participate and have a little bit of control over what they eat. Because that's really what it's about. It's about control. Food hoarding, picky eating, all of that is about control if you really think about it. And so help them understand that they can have some control. All right, everyone, that is it for today. I will be back on, well, I'll have my recording back on next Thursday, and we'll talk about, I believe I'm going to do executive functioning next. So see you in a little bit. Bye.